Hello and welcome back to another episode of Skyrim on Nyxus Gaming. We are here in Bleak Falls Barrow for another lovely Nyxus guide because we are going to grab every dragon shout in the game today. So buckle up, it's going to be a long one today. Bleak Falls Barrow, this is most likely going to be the first word of power that you learn in your entire playthrough. You can, of course, go and learn other words from other dungeons before this one, but this one's pretty early in the main quest line, and no matter what you do, this will be the first word that you unlock in your entire playthrough. You see, in the main quest line, you need an item in this dungeon from the boss here, but the boss will not spawn until you learn this word here. Likewise, you cannot unlock any shout, any word of power before this one, because no dragons will spawn until you fight your first one in the main quest line, after which that dragon's soul is automatically used to unlock this shout that you have already learned. So the first word that you will always unlock in Skyrim is Foos. This is the first word of the Unrelenting Force shout, which we'll go over that a little bit after we unlock the next two words, but as you can see, there is the boss there. He uses the full shout on you, and you gotta kill him to get the item you need, but we aren't gonna go over that today. Let's go after the next word. The second word of Unrelenting Force can be learned just a little bit further into the main quest line. You will head up to High Hrothgar, and the Greybeards here will start teaching you the way of the voice, including seeing how you learn new words. So, Master Einarth here will spit the word, I say spit, he just kind of speaks into the ground and the word appears there. This is row, which means balance or something. All the translations are in your menu for your shouts here. So you can see the first word meant force, and the second word I'm pretty sure means balance. Anyways, once he speaks it into the ground, all you got to do is just walk up, stare at it, and you will learn it. And then he will gift you the knowledge of it, meaning you do not need a dragon soul in order to unlock this one. The third word is also learned from the Greybeards. Any point after you have retrieved the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller from Delphine, you can come here, give it to them, and then it's as simple as them once again speaking it into the ground, you staring at it, and them giving you the knowledge of it. And now that that's all over with, there it is. The Greybeards will teach you another shout later on in the main quest line whenever you need to go meet their leader Paarthurnax. Now the way to Paarthurnax is blocked by a very vicious snowstorm on the peak of the mountain, so they will teach you the entire Clear Skies shout. You'll learn it and unlock it from the knowledge they give to you. As always, you just kind of walk up and you stare at the words and you will learn them. And he gives you the knowledge. Now, Clear Skies is a pretty straightforward shout to use. Let's go ahead and equip it. All you do is shout, and any storm, rain, thunder will be clear. The next shout that you learn throughout the main storyline is the Dragonrend shout, and you learn it after you have obtained the Elder Scroll from Blackreach. So you come back to the Throat of the World and read that Elder Scroll here to peer back through time and learn it from the men who created it. This is a man-made shout, and as such, I feel like that's the reasoning it acts a little bit differently. I mean, they kind of just shout and use it in the cutscene and you learn it, and you don't really get any knowledge or any dragon souls or anything. You just automatically unlock it. Also, this is a pretty long cutscene. I'm not really too sure where exactly you learn it, So I'll probably just speed up through most of this until we learn it.
Let those that watch from Sovngarde envy us this day.
What have you done? What twisted words have you created?
And of course, just after the cutscene plays, you get your chance to test out your new shout. Maybe if you actually hit him. And yeah, all it does is it forces any flying dragon just to return to the ground so you can get some free hits in. Easy as that. The next full shout you learn in the main storyline is going to be the Call Dragon shout, and this is another strange one. You learn it from Esbern right before you have to trap a dragon in Dragon's Reach in Whiterun. And I guess you can learn it here during the season unending quest when it's all finishing up, or you'll have to go talk to Esbern elsewhere. But basically, you learn that dragons can be called by their name. Wow, amazing. But they will only usually come if it's shouted, if that makes sense. They'll respect the shout of another dragon or a dragonborn, and Esbern's like, hey, I know this dragon's name. Why don't you just shout it?
Odavin, winged snow hunter, as I read it. I'm afraid there's one more thing.
And just like that, we learn the shout and unlock it. Don't need to talk to Delphine about Parthenax at all. In fact, we're just going to completely ignore her on that matter. Let's go get our next shout, shall we? Oh, wait, usually after we learn these, I do kind of show them off. So let me real quick call Dragon. It, of course, won't do anything inside, and I don't think it will have any effect until you actually use it in the main quest line to trap Odahviing. After that, you should be able to use it to a full effect. You can call Odahviing, and you can basically just fast travel between cities and ride him around in the sky. I think that's about it for all you do with it. Our next shout comes only after you have defeated Alduin in Sovngarde and finished the main quest line. Soon will approach you to send you back to the mortal plane and reward you with the Call of Valor shout.
Return now to Nurn, with this rich boon from shore, my lord. A shout to bring a hero from Sovngarde in your hour of need.
And with that, you learn the shout, and once again, you obtain the knowledge with it. You need no dragon souls to unlock this one. And when you go to use that Call of Valor shout, it is exactly as soon explained. Oh, I think with this one in particular, you do have to aim it towards the ground because it will summon the hero Sovngarde. There we go. A little bit of confusion on that one, but we got Yogi's Hakon One Eye. I didn't realize that they were actually named. That's actually pretty cool. I've never really used this shout before. And I just assumed it would summon a nameless hero of Sovngarde, but that's actually really cool. We got Hakon One Eye with us now. The Greybeards will teach you the first word of the Whirlwind Sprint shout shortly after you first meet them atop High Hrothgar. Once again, they will just kind of speak it into the ground, and you just kind of go over and stare at it in order to learn it, and no dragon soul is needed, as they will then gift you their knowledge of it. This is the Wold word, and it quite literally means whirlwind. The second word of Whirlwind Sprint can be found at the end of Dead Man's Respite here, south of Solitude. There is a related quest with the Bard's College, but you don't even need the quest in order to get through here. You should be able to come straight to the dungeon and work your way through and learn the word at the wall. The third and final word is located here at the Peak of Volskig, which is a dungeon that you probably have to go through, but I also don't see how you can't just climb up this hill somehow from the main entrance down there and get straight to the word wall up here. Be wary, there is a dragon priest that's going to be guarding it, but you can still just walk up, grab the word, and attempt to run from the dragon priest before he can actually do anything. And this is Whirlwind Sprint. You'll most likely learn the first word of the Become Ethereal shout in the main quest line. It's not required that you come over here and learn it, but you will be passing through the same dungeon, Ustengrav here, as you are looking for the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller. It's located at the very bottom of the second area here, and all you gotta do is just walk up and learn it, just like every other word wall. This one does require a dragon soul to unlock, though. The next piece of the Become Ethereal shout is in Ironbind Barrow, located near Winterhelm and Dawnstar here, and you're going to be helping a couple of adventurers through this dungeon. Even if you completely ignore them at the entrance, they will still follow you through all the way up to the boss here. But that's their problem. I just want the shout, thank you very much. The final word of the shout can be learned at the top of Lost Valley Redoubt, which is a large exterior Forsworn camp near Markarth, of course. And once you get to the very top, you'll just head behind these little these hides set up here, and it will be guarded by two hag ravens here.
Rise from death, Lord of our Lord.
Oh, and I suppose you guys would like to see how the shout works too. Well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's called Become Ethereal.
I'm Cyclone.
And so when you use it, you become ethereal, and all the effects gained with that. Stormcall is a shout that you're not required to learn at all during the main quest line, but you will encounter one of the words for it during the second to final quest when you're here in Skuldafn, and you definitely want to pick it up, because once you leave Skuldafn, you cannot return here. That's right, this is a completely missable shout. I believe it is one of the only missable shouts or words in the game. So 100% when you're in Skuldafn, don't just run by this word wall. You need to grab it if you want to get them all. The second word of the Stormcall shout is located at the end of Forelhost here on the exterior, though sadly I don't think there's really an easy way to get up here, maybe from the backside here now that I'm looking at it. Otherwise you are going to have to go through this whole dungeon, and it is a bit of a long one. Also, like, the word wall is literally right above the main entry into the dungeon. So kind of a tease there, but let's go ahead and learn it. This is the second word of Stormcall. The final word of this shout is located in Highgate Ruins, guarded by yet another dragon priest. I feel like all three words have been related to a dragon priest, and to be fair, it is a decently powerful shout, so good on them for protecting it. Here's the word at the very end, past Voken's throne room. And all this shout does, if we come in here and we unlock it real quick, all this shout's going to do if you're in an exterior area, like this one, it will call a storm that will cast lightning down at any NPCs around you, friendly or hostile, every few seconds. So, probably don't want your companions with you when you use this shout, but other than that, they won't hit you, so it's pretty effective in battle. When you first meet Parthenax at the Throat of the World during the main quest line, he will teach you a word of the Fire Breath shout.
The word calls you, go to it.
Now this is very similar to how the Greybeards teach you words. He's just going to speak it onto his own word wall. You'll walk over, learn it,
A gift, Dora.
and then he will give you the knowledge.
Understand fire as the dove do.
For the second word of the Fire Breath Shout, you're going to want to venture through Sunderstone Gorge, found on the edge of the mountain range in between Whiterun and Falkreath. You'll get to this room with the Flame Atronach and the Conjurer, Fire Mages in it, and the word wall will be right next to them. For the final word of this shout, you're actually going to have to start the Companion's quest line, but don't worry, this is one of the first dungeons that the quest line sends you to. This is Dustman's Cairn near Whiterun. You'll be sent here with Farkas, and at the end of the dungeon is your word wall with your final Fire Breath word of power. And I think Fire Breath is pretty self-explanatory, but here it is anyway. If you make it to the end of the Companion's quest line, you will come here to Ysgramor's tomb. And I'm not exactly sure what the trigger is, but in the first room you enter at, there's a passage on the left that will open up. I don't know if it opens up when you put Ysgramor's axe in the statue, or if you have to clear out the dungeon first. Either way, if you go through that passage, it'll lead to the upper second half of the mountain outside, and you can follow the steps up and claim the first word of the Animal Allegiance shout. The second word of this shout can be learned in the dungeon of Angarvund, which is located west of Riften. I know my directions. Here it is. And the third word can be learned high up in the mountains southeast of Falkreath at the Dragon's Lair, known as the Ancient's Ascent. So of course, since it's a dragon's lair, be warned, there is a dragon guarding it. And since that is the third word, and I see no real danger lurking behind me anywhere at all, let's go ahead and check it out here, shall we? I do believe you probably want to use it on an animal, because I think basically what it does on a hostile animal like a bear or a saber cat is it will make it peaceful towards you. I don't know if it'll make it actually help you out in battle, but you won't have to fight it anymore. So that's nice. I don't see any hostile animals around here though. The next shout that we're going to go after is going to require you to start the College of Winterhold quest line for at least one of the words. You're going to have to go up to, like, I think the second or third quest in the quest line, and it'll send you here to Sarthal. And at the very end of Sarthal, past the giant Eye of Magnus that definitely is not supposed to look like this in your game, just past that is going to be the word wall where you will learn your first word of the ice form shout. The next word of the shout is going to be located here in Frostmere Crypt, which is also home to the unique boss enemy, the Pale Lady here. But that's not what we came here for now, is it? We need our shout, our word of power. For the final word of the ice form shout, we are going to yet another dragon lair. This one is Mount Anthor, located just south of Winterhold. And I bet he can see everything from way up there. That is quite a tall peak. Now, with the ice form shout, you would assume that it would give you a form of ice, right? It would turn you into ice, right? No, instead, whatever enemy you use it on will turn to ice. If you make it towards the end of the College of Winterhold quest line, in the second to final quest, you will dive into the dungeon of Labyrinthian, where you can get this next shout, Slow Time. For the second word, you have to go through sort of a double dungeon here at Hag's End, and by double dungeon, I mean you're first going to have to go through Deepwood Redoubt here, in between Markarth and Solitude, and then you'll go through a quick exterior zone and into Hag's End itself. At the end of Hag's End, you will find the word wall for your second word of Slow Time. The third word for Slow Time is actually going to require you to start the Civil War quest line. Luckily, no matter if you join the Stormcloaks or the Imperials, this word is going to be in the first dungeon they send you to. I mean, technically the second, but the fort you clear out first doesn't really take long. This is in Corvanjun, where you get the Jagged Crown towards the end, just after retrieving it. And of course, what does the Slow Time shout do? Well, it slows time. For this next shout, you're gonna have to do, I'd say, at least half of the Thieves Guild quest line. You're going to want to get up to the point where you head into Snowvale Sanctum here, which I do think is about halfway through. And towards the end of it, I think right before you go into the final room, yeah, that's the final room right there. Right before you go in there, you'll go behind here, and here is your word wall with the Disarm shouts. The second word of the shout can be found in the ruins of Silver Drift Lair, located just southeast of Dawnstar here. It's a pretty short ruin. Just be warned, I did have a dragon priest spawn here, guarding the word wall, which could be problematic for lower levels. And the final word can be located at the dragon lair of Elder's Blood Peak, located just next to Morthal here. Just with any dragon lair, there's always going to be a dragon guarding it, so be warned. But here we go. And of course, being the Disarm shout, you can only imagine what it does. You can only imagine what it does. There we go. I would assume they have to have the weapon pulled out before you can actually disarm them. Otherwise, it just doesn't work all the time, as you just saw. The next shout we're going to learn will require you to join the Dark Brotherhood at the very least. That way you can access their sanctuary here. Because the word is in the sanctuary itself. This is the first word of the Marked for Death shouts. The second word for this shout can be found in the Forsaken Cave near Windhelm, Winterhold, and Dawnstar. It's kind of just in the middle of all three of them. But you'll get through the second area, fight the boss there, and here it is. The third word is located at another dragon's lair, this one just south of Iverstead. This is Autumn Watch Tower, and this one's a little cool. I don't think there are any other dragon lairs that are in towers like this, but there is indeed a dragon here, just waiting by the word wall. Sorry, sir, I'm just gonna learn this, and then I'll be on my way. Now, the way Marked for Death works is when you use it on an enemy, it will drain their HP and weaken their armor for a predetermined amount of time, and I think that amount of time gets longer based on how many levels of the shout you have, but here it is. The next shout that we are going to learn is the Dismay shout, and I am here at Vollenrud, for the first word. Now, this is a location that you will visit as part of the Dark Brotherhood quest line. You don't have to finish the dungeon when you come here, and of course, you can still finish this dungeon without being a part of the Dark Brotherhood at all, but because of the relation, that is why I put it at this part of the guide. When you do get to the end of the dungeon, you get the ceremonial weapons, you come and you fight this guy, your word wall is going to be to the right of him, with, like I said, the first word of Dismay. Wait. I messed up. We're doing Aura Whisper next. The second word can be found here in the dungeon of Valthum near Markarth. And you'll get to the catacombs and you get to this section where you see the word just beyond here. But how do you do it? Well, you just got to put an item on this pressure plate, or you can very quickly just run over it and it'll stay down. Just don't step on it again, or it will go back up. But just do that and the way opens and you can grab your word. This is Aura Whisper. We are doing Aura Whisper, by the way. And the final word of this shout is located at another dragon lair known as Northwind Summit nearby Riften here. I guess in between Riften and Windhelm, just about. But as with all dragon lairs, come up, kill the dragon, and take your word. Take my word for it. You probably want to kill the dragon. Now, the way Aura Whisper works is pretty simple. Make sure I got it equipped here. When you use it, for a limited amount of time, you can see the life force of any NPCs or enemies around you, even through walls like this. So it's very good for stealth missions. That way you know where to avoid all the guards and stuff. So the next shout we're going for is actually the Dismay shout, and I want to start here because it's a little bit of an unmarked location. This is the middle of Labyrinthian, the exterior ruins. In fact, I'm standing right above the Mask Shrine down there, and you're gonna look for this little room right next to it in these ruins. This is gonna lead to Shalador's maze, and you're gonna have to work your way through the maze in order to get to the word wall, which I've actually never done before. I've looked for this maze before, but I could never find it because I figured it was a marked location, like on the map. And I guess I've never decided to look into this little cubbyhole area here. But anyways, I'm going to clear out the maze and I'll be able to tell you more about it after I get to the word wall. So I'm a little bit confused, but also I don't think you actually have to go through the maze to get to this word wall. There's something with like 4 staffs of different schools to get you through the maze. I've used 2 of them, and I came out on this end next to the word wall, and then I very quickly realized that right over there is the entrance, and you can just take this side path on either side and just go to the other side and get to the word wall. So I don't think you actually have to do the maze to get the word here. So here it is. The next word of the shout is going to be located at Dead Crone Rock near Markarth here. Now, in order to get up to Dead Crone Rock, you're first going to have to go through Hag Rock Redoubt, and then up through Dead Crone Rock. So it's a little bit of a 2-part dungeon, but once you get up to the top here, you can kill the Hag Raven and grab the word. And the final word is, of course, going to be at yet another dragon lair, this one near Riften. This is Lost Tongue Overlook to the south of it. There's your dragon, and here is your final word of Dismay. The way this shout is supposed to work is when you use it on an enemy, they are supposed to flee in terror, and I have a lovely Bloodhorker volunteer here.
This ends now.
Well, apparently he is too powerful for it to work on, but if it did work, he would be running by now. I don't know, maybe it'll work on a bear. I feel like a bear wouldn't feel a lot of fear and it wouldn't work, but let's try it. Ah, yes, I believe that worked, and it is indeed running away. The next shout is the Elemental Fury shout, and the first word is actually near the statue to Meridia. But don't worry, you don't need to do the quest, you don't need to grab the beacon. All you gotta do is come here and look left from the statue, and there it is, just kind of out in the open. I don't think I've ever noticed this here before, honestly. The next word of Elemental Fury is going to be located in Shriekwind Bastion, just north of Falkreath here. Now, I took the northern entrance. I'm pretty sure there's a southern entrance somewhere on the southern side of the mountain, but both of them should lead to the word wall. You're going to get to this central cavern here and start working your way up through all these side passages, through this side area here until you get to the wall, and here you go. And the final word is guarded by yet another dragon at another dragon lair. This is Dragontooth Crater, kind of in between Solitude and Markarth in this mountain range here. An odd thing, I guess this dragon doesn't have a good place to perch himself. I would have put him like right up there, but it seems the developers just kind of plopped him on the ground here. I don't know, usually they're perched up somewhere high in these layers or flying around. Now with a shout called Elemental Fury, you would think it would maybe imbue your weapons with some kind of fire, lightning, ice, magic, or something like that. No, it imbues them with wind, so you strike faster. So for instance, this is the normal attack speed here, and if I use the shout... Oh, and apparently you can't use it on already enchanted weapons. Isn't that even better? So once again, that's the woodcutter's axe. It actually attacks very fast. And now with this, it goes even faster. Next up on our list, we have the Frost Breath shout, and we are starting here in the Dungeon of Folgunthur, just next to Solitude and Morthal here. And you might come to this dungeon when you are hunting down the Galder Draugr as part of the Forbidden Legend quest. This room is just after the Galder you fight in the previous room, very redundant, and it has your word wall. The second word is located at probably one of the most noticeable dragon layers in the entire game. This is Bone Strewn Crest, the one in the middle of the big ashland here south of Windhelm. And whenever you're in this area, you can almost always see the dragon flying around, and it's just an ominous peak here, and you can tell there's something up here. And it's a word to the Frost Breath shouts. That's not the only word of this shout guarded by a dragon, though. This is Skyborn Altar, another dragon's lair overlooking Labyrinthian, and it would be overlooking Morthal somewhere down there if the city was big enough, but it's not. But here is Skyborn Altar, and of course when you get up here, there's the dragon looking down upon you as you walk up and learn the word. It won't be that easy in your playthrough, of course. And there's really not a whole lot to say about Frost Breath here. It's like Fire Breath, but it's frosty. Next up, we are learning the Kyne's Peace shout, and I started with Shroud Hearth Barrow for this first word because this is a dungeon I almost always clear when I play through the game. I'll knock it out when I'm at Iverstead very early on, so most people probably know this dungeon, and they know they can get the first word here. Next word of power is going to be located in Ragnvald Temple here near Morrowind. And there is a dragon priest you're going to have to fight to get through here. You're going to get 2 skull keys, put them in these slots, fight the priest. This next area will open up and you walk on through and grab your word of power. The final word of the shout is in what could be a very short dungeon. This is Randveg's Fast here. It is located kind of near Whiterun on the other side of the mountain from Morthal. And a very quick walk into the dungeon. You will see the word wall right there. You want to be very careful not to step on that trap door, or you will have to do more of the dungeon and come back up here to get the word. This shout works similarly to the Dismay shout, except it only works on animals. It will not cause them to run away, but it will calm them to where they won't fight either. It will also mark them, similar to how Aura Whisper does to any enemies around you. And you can see there, this one's like a blue marking, so you can see them everywhere and they will no longer fight or flee for you, I guess for the duration of the shout. The final shout that we are going to learn from the base game is kind of unique. This is the throw voice shout, and all 3 words can be learned from a single word wall. This is the word wall at Shearpoint, a dragon's lair, kind of in the middle of Windhelm and Whiterun here. And it's also very dangerous to obtain, because not only is there a dragon guarding it, but if you have not defeated him earlier, there will also be a named dragon priest here as well. So you're in for a fight whenever you come here. I think my luck, whenever I did this in my playthrough, another random dragon spawned here, and it was not fun. But once you dispatch all the enemies, you can walk up, and like I said, you learn all 3 words here. Throw voice is also a very fun shout to use if you're doing a sneaky thief or assassin playthrough, because it does exactly what it's called. It will throw your voice elsewhere if you're sneaking around to distract an enemy. Maybe? Ah, yeah, there we go. Unfortunately, the dragon doesn't seem to be very entertained by that. I do like that it throws a different insult, though, every time. Or at least it's supposed to. Yeah, there we go. Isn't that fun? We're in the DLC shouts now. The first shout that you're probably going to encounter here in the Dawnguard DLC is going to be in the first major dungeon. This is Dim Hollow Crypt, which isn't appearing on my map. I'm not really sure why that's the case and it's not on my map, but if you're doing the DLC, you should have a quest marker that leads you to this dungeon anyway. And this is the final room of the dungeon. The exit is literally up those stairs, and the word wall is right next to those stairs. This is the Drain Vitality shout. The second word of this shout can be learned in one of my favorite parts of the Dawnguard DLC. This is in the Forgotten Vale, and it's up on the ice lake where you have to fight the 2 twin dragons that burst in and out of the ice everywhere, and it's actually a really cool boss fight, and I love it. And it may be hard to notice the word at first because it's not on a normal word wall. You can see it over on that stone there. The issue comes when you get close to it. I mean, if you're not paying attention, you can completely miss this thing. But just like with the normal word walls, all you got to do is just walk up and stare at it, and you will learn it. The third and final word for the Drain Vitality shout can be found back in Skyrim, the main area. This is south of Iverstead, and it is Arcwind Point. It doesn't show up as a dragon lair on the map, but trust me, it is. There's the dragon, and I think there's a Draugr that usually spawns. Yep, usually a high level one too. And if you can manage to beat them and all the other bullshit, pardon my language, but this area is a goddamn mess to traverse and fight your way through. If you can put up with all of that, you can find the third word of your shout here. Now, the way the Drain Vitality Shout works is for each word of the shout you have, it will drain another stat. For just the first word, you will drain stamina from your opponent. The second word drains magicka as well. And if you have all 3 words, you'll drain both of those and health from the enemy you use it on. And that is indeed a Death Overlord. You can see just how much health that is actually draining. It's not great. For the next shout, you're actually going to want to proceed through the Dawn Guard quest until you have finished the Soul Cairn. If you're following along and you've already done the Forgotten Valley and got the second word of the Drain Vitality Shout, then you should have already done this. Luckily, you can come back in here, just fast travel to the Volkihar balcony and go into Valerica's study. The portal is still open. I think you should automatically get this one after you fight Durnehviir and leave the whole arena area. Yet somehow I missed it. So I guess you can just come back here and talk to him and grab it.
I will place my name with you and grant you the right to call my name from Tamriel. Do me this simple honor, and I will fight at your side as your Graze Mazen, your ally, and teach you my Thum.
Just call your name in Tamriel. That's it.
Trivial in your mind, perhaps. For me, it would mean a great deal. I don't require an answer, Quinarin. Simply speak my name to the heavens when you feel the time is right.
And with that, he gives us the Summon Durnehviir shout. Do the words, like, pop up? Oh, there they are. Yeah. Yeah, he gives us the Summon Durnehviir shout. We automatically get the knowledge of it. It works very similarly to the Call Odahviing shout that you get from the main quest of the base game, except since Durnehviir stays here in the Soul Cairn, this works more like a conjuration spell. You are literally conjuring Durnehviir in the real world. And I would show that right now, but 1, we're in the Soul Cairn. I don't think you can do it here. But 2, we're going to need to do that 3 times anyway for the next shout. So for the next shout, which is the Soul Tear shout, we will require the previous one, the Summon Durnehviir shout. So if you're jumping around the video, go back 1 section and figure out how to get that one if you don't have it. The way you get the Soul Tear shout is you have to summon Durnehviir in the real world here. And when you do, he might fly around, he might kill some enemies, but every time you summon him, he will teach you 1 word of the shout, up to all 3 words. So, without ado...
The free air of Fus at long last. As promised, I now teach you the first word of soul tearing. Re, the essence of your enemy's life force. I can feel my strength returning each time I am set free from that prison. Hear now the second word of soul tearing. Vaz, meaning to tear your enemy's soul from its living vessel. You have kept your side of the bargain. Now let me fulfill mine. Feel the last word of soul tearing within yourself. Zol, the unlife that results when a soul is imprisoned in dead flesh.
So the Soul Tearing shout, despite what it sounds like, it will not fill soul gems for you as far as I know. But if you use it on an enemy, it will drain their health very fast, and if they happen to die from it, it will resurrect them as a basically a zombie to fight for you for 1 minute. So let's try it on this guy. It's also worth noting that the first two words of this shout won't really do much for you. You need all 3 words to really be able to do anything with this, but there you go. The first shout of the Dragonborn DLC that we will be covering is the Bend Will shout. This is a shout primarily used by Miraak throughout the DLC, but it will be required for you to learn all 3 words throughout the main quest as well. Shortly into the main quest, you will be sent to Sering's Watch by the shaman of the Skull Village, where you will learn the first word. This is a dragon lair. There is a dragon waiting down at the entrance, but if you make it up to the word wall here, you get the first word. A little bit further into the Dragonborn questline, you're going to read another black book. I believe it is called the Epistolary Acumen, and you're going to be doing the Gardener of Men quest. When you get to the end of that black book, you're going to have a little conversation with Hermaeus Mora here. And by little, I mean extremely long and slow and boring because he talks so damn slow. But at the end of that, he's going to teach you the second word to the Bend Will shout.
Here then, use the knowledge you need, although you did not know you needed it. The second word of power.
The third and final word of the Bend Will shout can be learned immediately after you learn the second word, so long as you have finished the Cleansing the Stones quest as well. If you haven't, you're going to need to go do that. But once you have, and you've gotten the second word from Hermaeus Mora, go ahead and talk to the Skull Shaman.
Dragon, you have delivered me the gift I requested. In return, I keep my promise as befits a prince of oblivion.
Now, to demonstrate the Bend Will shout, I figured it would be fitting to just go on to the next quest in the quest line. This is right before you're about to face Miraak, and you gotta use it anyway. I believe the second word of this shout will allow you to tame and possibly ally with any creature or humanoid enemy in the game. But if you have the third word, this is where it gets fun. You can use it on any dragons you encounter and ride them around. So I've basically bent the will of this dragon to be my ally.
Climb aboard, and I will carry you to Miraak.
The next shout for the Dragonborn DLC is going to be the Dragon Aspect shout, and you'll most likely learn the first word when you're going through the Temple of Miraak for the first time. I say first time, it should be the only time you come through here. It's one of the first main quests you do when you get here to Solstheim. And you're going to work your way to this room here with 5 coffins on the side and 1 coffin in front of you, and the word wall to your left. The second word of the Dragon Aspect shout is also learned throughout the main quest line of Dragonborn, except this one is in one of the final quests of the DLC. I believe this is the final one, at the Summit of Apocrypha, right before you are about to fly up and face off with Miraak. There is a final word wall here that will give you Dragon Aspect. The third word is technically acquirable before the other two, but I wanted to go over the questline requirements first. This is in Raven Rock Mine, right next to where you get off the boat, so you can technically come straight here, start the quest, and come grab this one before you ever get the other two. All the way at the bottom, there's going to be a dragon priest that pops out of the water here. You'll want to make sure to deal with him. But after that, go ahead and get your word. The word. The word. It's like, what the... I've never encountered this before. I see no way to do this. Maybe reloading the area or something will fix that. But I'm just going to be a cheeky boy and use console to teach it to me, I guess. And as far as I can tell, there's no big fanfare for it. But yeah, there we go. We learned it. Kind of sad I had to do it that way, but oh well, we'll go ahead and we'll unlock that. And it should be pretty easy to show off. I'll go into third person for it. You see Mirak use it a lot. It adds this cool spectral dragon armor to you, which the effect of it, I am pulling up now because I actually was not sure what the effect was. It comes with a large bonus to power attacks, armor rating increase, increased fire and frost resistance, more powerful shouts, and a decrease in shout recharge time. And with each word, the effects get even bigger. I didn't realize this was such an overpowered shout, and it looks really cool now that I'm actually looking at it. Apparently also this is like a weird clipping issue that can happen, and the other way to resolve it is to toggle your collision off. That way you can just get closer to the word itself and learn it the legit way. I say legit way, you still had to use the console for it, but I feel like that's better than cheating the word in with the console, you know? The next shout we're going after in Dragonborn is going to be the Cyclone shout, and I figured knock out the worst dungeon first on this shout. This is in Kolbjorn Barrow for the first word, which is related to one of the most annoying quests in the entire DLC, in my opinion. You're going to have to pay the guy outside some money, you're going to have to go wait in town for days, multiple times, come in, clear out Draugr, wash, rinse, and repeat. And this is like the fourth time through doing all this that this word wall is actually available. And overall, it's just really annoying. But here is the word. The next word of this shout is located at the bottom of White Ridge Barrow, which isn't nearly as annoying as Kolbjorn Barrow. And the third and final word of the Cyclone shout is located in a dungeon called Ben Kongarike, which is a little cave towards the northern part of the island. We'll do this weird puzzle. Don't ask me how you're supposed to know what this pillar is. I see no idea. I'm getting very impatient after going through Kolbjorn Barrow. But here is the final word of Cyclone shout. Now the Cyclone shout makes a cyclone that will toss enemies into the air and do damage to them. And I figured the best enemy to try this out on was a giant. Give them a taste of their own medicine. I mean, they don't go quite as high as they knock you up, but it's still amusing, nonetheless. The final shout that we are gonna learn for this video is gonna be the Battle Fury shout of the Dragonborn DLC. All three words can be learned here in Valak's tomb, which will not be accessible right away. You must proceed through the quest line for Dragonborn until you have cleansed the Windstone. And then when you go to Skull Village, you'll see a conversation between Dayor Woodcutter and one other person. And you'll have to take Dayor's quest to rescue the blacksmith. And once you have finished that, you will be considered a friend of the Skull. And this guy named Thurston will be like, hey, you're a friend of the Skull. Why won't you be my friend and help me with Valak's tomb? And then suddenly you can go into Valak's tomb. Anyways, like I said, all three words can be learned here. This first word that we're learning is in the right path after you solve the first puzzle and the doors on the left and the right open up. This one is at the end of the right path. The second word is at the end of the left path. Who would have thought? There's one at the end of the right path, so there's one at the end of the left.
Wonder if I should have brought more torches.
And the final word of the shout is, of course, at the very end of the dungeon, guarded by Valak the Jailer himself, another named Dragon Priest. So you might want to take care of him before you grab it. And Battle Fury is a little bit harder to demonstrate, but I'll at least shout it out. It is the companion counterpart to the Elemental Fury shout, whereas Elemental Fury made your own attacks go a lot faster as long as you had an unenchanted weapon. Battle Fury will make your companions' attacks go a lot faster if they have unenchanted weapons. And that's how it sounds. That is the final shout that we are obtaining in this video. There are a few other shouts in the game, but you can't really learn them. Like, a good example are a lot of the ones that some of the NPCs or Alduin uses. Like, Alduin uses the Vin Mul Rick one that keeps bringing fog back to Sovngarde. Apparently his special meteor storm that he does in the fight is also a unique shout that he has. There's quite a few like that, but those are all the ones that you can learn on your own in this game. And we're gonna end it there. Thank you all for watching. I don't think we're doing another Skyrim guide next. I think we might be breaking and doing one from TIE 3 or maybe TIE 4 or another game. I don't know. I don't think we're doing a Skyrim one next, but keep your eyes open. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. I'll know after this video. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.